Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. I'm here to do a review on the PSE Premonition. This bow is new for 2015. It's 30 inches axle, so it's fairly short, so it's one of the shortest bows made. It's 344 feet per second, so it's one of the faster bows made. In its price point, this is 950 Australian dollars, so I guess it's going to be somewhere around the 700 American dollar mark. So in its price point, it's one of the cheapest bows that shoots this speed. So it's very quick. It's got limb stops at the top, which is that thing there. So when you draw this back, that comes around and hits the limb here. It's got cable stops. Down the bottom, it's got cable stops. You can change these cable stops to hard draw stops or soft draw stops. PSE have the three options. You've got to buy them extra because it comes with standard. The bow is adjustable in draw length with a rotating module. You've got the letters here and the draw stops here, which you change. You've got to change it top and bottom using a torque wrench, which is the little star thing. All PSEs come with the preloaded limbs, which is standard on all the PSEs. This puts more tension on the strings and cables, so when you shoot, the bow's going to be quieter and you're going to get less oscillation forward and backwards and left and right on the string than you get on other bows which don't have preloaded limbs. It also makes the bow a little bit quicker. We've got a machined riser here, string stop. The strings on this bow are very good. They come with speed, little things down here to increase the speed of the bow. Now these have all been tested by PSE to increase the speed, so those positions are what PSE engineers have tested to increase the speed the most on this bow. So you see we've got a whole pile up here, then two, then one. Now I'm going to say with PSE they do a lot of testing on their products. The engineers, this bow would have been shot for equivalent of 20 to 30 years through a shooting machine before it's released. They would have tested this riser with 200-pound limbs. These limbs have been tested to shoot, so many years. There's a lot of testing PSE do before they release the bow, and that's one thing I really like about PSE. The other thing I really like about PSE is their backup service. So if you have a problem, and when I say you have a problem, if you derail your bow, so you draw this bow back with your fingers, when you pull the bow back, you draw it back with a wrist like so, and you basically took the string off the limbs, off the cams. That's not covered by warranty, but PSE generally look after you. And they're pretty quick too with their warranty parts. So PSE to me is one of the best companies, and I'm going to say probably the best archery company in the industry. They ship to me twice a week. An outstanding company, and this is an outstanding product. It's an outstanding product to shoot. Now this bow doesn't sell that well for PSE. We're midway through the 2015 cycle, and the reason it doesn't sell very well is because the biggest selling bow in the PSE lineup is the Stinger, which is a $450 price point bow. The Drive is the second biggest selling product, which is the next price point up from the Stinger. Then after that, you jump straight to the Decree. The Decree is the biggest after that in selling. People tend to jump this price point because if they're spending $1,000, they go, well, what do I get at the top end of the money for the price point? So they tend to jump the $950 bow. But I think this is a bow well worth looking at. It shoots great, and we're going to shoot it in a sec. But I'm going to show you the bows either side of this in the PSE range, so you can see what the differences are, and then I'm going to show you some of the PSE accessories, because I think I often overlook the PSE accessories because they're very good. And if you buy a PSE bow, this is the Skullworks camo. You'll see the little deer heads here in the pattern. You can get matching Skullworks camo for this. So we're going to have a look at the Bowmadness. So this is a $950 bow. Now this is the PSE Bowmadness. This bow shoots at 355 feet per second, 32-inch axle, $850, so $100 cheaper than the Premonition. But this has a slightly different cam system. This has a cam system, it's still a cam and a half, but this is like the drive cam. This here is a round wheel, so this will be smoother to draw than the Premonition and the Decree, and you have no module adjustment up here to adjust draw length. It's only down the bottom here have you got draw length adjustment. There is no limb stops on this bow. There is only limb stops on the Decree and the Premonition. So dropping $100, you're losing speed, but this bow is easy to shoot. So I'm not saying go for a Premonition over this. This is a completely different bow. This is a more easy to shoot bow, smoother draw cycle than the Premonition. So be more inclined to be the 3D sort of target shooter who would like the Bowmadness. Now this is the Decree. So from the Premonition, this bow shoots 355 feet per second. It's got the 7000 series riser, so this riser is twice as strong as the Premonition. The bow is 32 inches, these numbers from the top of my head, 32 inches axle to axle, so slightly longer. The cam system on this is almost identical to the Premonition. It's got a limb stop, rotating module, cable stop here, all the draw length adjustment, and you're paying basically $200 extra for this bow over the Premonition because you're picking up 10 feet per second and you've got this improved riser, this forged riser, which has got twice the strength, a little bit lighter, and the grip's a little bit narrower. So $200 more for the Decree. But you know, I had a guy ring up who's on the phone who's shorter in draw length, you know, 25, 26. I think the Premonition is something to really look at, even over the Decree. I love the Decree, but Premonition is still a bow to look at. Now, one thing about all PSEs, and it doesn't matter whether you choose a Stinger or a Premonition or a Decree, the fittings for them, this here, this hole here is for the two-piece quiver, and above it, just there, is a little hole. Now that's a pin, and the quiver, the two-piece quiver, PSE quiver, screws onto this hole, and you have a corresponding hole down the bottom. And this is the PSE Crucial two-piece quiver in matching camo, so it either comes in Skullworks, black, or camo, and it fits straight onto there. The other quiver, which is a two-piece quiver, is the Eclipse, which has got the magnetic head here. So the Eclipse is a bit heavier and a bit more expensive than this, but this is still a nice little quiver. I use the Eclipse because I like the magnets, because it pulls your arrow in. You don't have to stick it in the foam like this one, which you do. Now all PSEs have a little indentation here in the riser where the screw mark is, and that's for PSE RRS. It's a locking thing. This is a QAD PSE RRS, and on the inside where the little bolt hole is, which you won't be able to see, there's a little indentation which this bolts into, so it holds it in place. So that's a QAD PSE RRS. There's a whole bunch of PSE RRS made by PSE and made by other companies that bolt straight into this riser. But you can use any RRS. This has got a stranded whisker biscuit on it. Any RRS will work. And in fact, PSE will often have a little bracket in there to assist in locking the a normal RRS in. So these are two of the PSE stabilizers. This is the Vitron. It's basically metal with rubber little rings to absorb shock. And this is the Amiga. All the PSE accessories come in all the different camos. The Amiga's got a rod in the center, which is it's got gel in either end to absorb shock. All the PSE accessories all come in their different camos, so you can basically choose stuff to match the bow and make it all match. So we're going to have a shot with the Premonition. You can see what it shoots like. It's a real rocket to shoot, and see what we think. Thanks. Here at the shooting range, we're going to shoot the Premonition. I'm shooting gold tip velocities, which are a very quick arrow out of this bow. It's set up with standard biscuit, 5-pin sight. I don't have a peep sight on here because it's just a demo. I fitted a D-loop to it. The draw length would be probably factory. It's set on the C, so that should be about 29. The draw length on this is adjustable between 24.5 and 30 inches. Each letter corresponds to half an inch. So A being 30 inches, this is on C, so 29 inches. All PSEs come set at 29 inches. So we're going to have a draw. I'm not going to take the first shot, we're just going to draw it back. So the grip, because this is shorter, this feels very much like the full throttle to draw. It's the balance on the bow is perfect. There's no stabilizer. I'm not gripping the bow. It just sits there in my hand. So now when I shoot this bow, if I was to put pressure down the bottom, the bow's going to tilt up like this. And when I shoot PSEs, I tend to heel the bow, so I tend to be putting my palm in. But with this bow, as with the full throttle, when I shoot this bow and I tend to palm it, the grip here is very, very short. So I'm going to shoot this with a little bit higher grip. So I'm going to shoot this kind of with a pressure point around here, because that feels more natural with this bow. So with every bow, the grip will feel a little bit different and your pressure point will be a little bit different. So we're just going to draw this back. So to start off with, as I draw this bow, it's solid. Like, it's very solid from the this is a speed bow. So the very instant you start drawing this bow back, at that point it's heavy. And it's going to be heavy right the way through this draw cycle. So it's heavy, 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 heavy. I think I'm going to get in the valley in a second. I'm getting valley now, valley, and there it is. So that's the valley, that's the draw stop. And if I let it down, there, it's starting to build there. So the valley's not as short as a full throttle, but it's similar to a full throttle. It's similar to a decree. It's hard to draw to start with, but it's still comfortable. It's a speed bow, and that's, you know, it's going to be building. It's not going to be one of those bows which builds slowly and then it has a huge valley, because you're just not going to get the speed with, you know, out of the bow like that. So let's just take the shot. I draw it back. Now the let off here, some bows feel like 80%, this feels like about 70. So I can hold it, but I can feel it in my back and shoulders. I'm going to take a shot. Now when I shoot the shot, you see the bow kicks back a little bit in my hand. A stabilizer will eliminate that. It's pretty quiet to shoot. I'm shooting into a foam target here, so it makes a bit of a noise when it hits. It's pretty controllable. Is it better than the decree? Similar to decree. I like the decree better than this to shoot. It feels a bit more like the full throttle to me than the decree, but it's easier than the full throttle to shoot. We'll just have another shot. When I'm test firing these bows, I tend not to worry about the aim. I just go for the feel, so I'm not really taking a shot to concentrate on hitting the center or anything. I'm just basically seeing what the bow feels like. I'm seeing what the valley feels like and what the actual bow, the shock in the bow afterwards. I'm also interested in how much my sight pins move around when I'm aiming. As a bow to shoot, as a hunting bow to shoot, because that's what this is a hunting bow. I like it because it produces power. You know you're shooting a hunting bow. This is great for backpacking. You can stick it on your back. It's nice and compact for walking around the bush. The weight, I find I move around a bit with this bow, and that's because the weight, I'm just going to guess what this bow weighs, 3.9 or something like that. And it's not here on the stats sheet, but I'm going to guess it's about 3.8, 3.9 pounds. Feels like it's under 4 pounds in weight, but it's pretty steady. Like, I would have no problem of shooting or dinner plates of 40, 50 meters with this bow, no question. I'd prefer to shoot the decree, and I've said that before, but decree to me, the grip feels nicer. But as a hunting bow, something I want to walk around the bush with and shoot, this is fast. It's $200 cheaper than the decree, $200 or $300 cheaper than the decree. It's a nice little bow to shoot, and it's a bow you would enjoy shooting. All right, if you brought this, you're going to enjoy it. I sold one of these to a guy who comes in here every day, and he wanted to try out all bows, and he basically grabbed a whole bunch of bows, and he chose this bow, and he's been shooting it now for about 2 months. And I said, now how are you finding this bow? Because he started off with another PSE, a cheaper one, and he loved that. He started off with a PSE Stinger, loved that bow, but wanted something quicker, and he brought this. I said, how are you shooting with it? He loves it. He shoots well with it. So it's a nice little bow to shoot. You'd love it. And something nice about a shorter bow to shoot for hunting, you know, it makes you feel like it's a hunting bow. You know you've shot the shot. I've got DNA, which is a similar cam system to this, which I've had for about 3 years. I shot that on the weekend. I shot incredibly well with it on a target scenario. And it's a bow, because it's high speed, it's the same speed as this, 355. This is, sorry, 344, so my DNA is faster than this. But it's a bow, it's fast, the draw cycle's the same as this. It's a bow that's satisfying to shoot when you're shooting it well, because the arrow just pumps out, you know you've taken the shot. You've got to work for the shot, because you're actually holding a bit of weight. Some of the other bows, you get back there and you're holding 10 pounds, 8 pounds, and you almost go to sleep to shoot. This bow, you know you're shooting it. It's not to say it's hard, I'm not saying that. It's to say you're going to respect this bow, and you're going to respect shooting. You're going to want to shoot, and you're going to want to hunt, and you will enjoy this bow. There's no ifs or buts, and I'm not saying to get this or a decree, because all bows are different, and all bows, doesn't matter what manufacturer it is, are good. But this bow, the PSE Premonition, well worth checking out in archery shop for hunting. Shorter draw lengths would be great, and the PSE accessories that fit on it, the 2-piece quivers, the RRS, they have matching sights also, which I forgot to pull out. You know, like this in Skullworks camo, Skullworks camo sights, Skullworks camo quiver, Skullworks camo arrows, Skullworks camo stabilizer, a cool little rig, or you could do the whole lot in camo or the whole lot in black. Just a little awesome hunting rig, and you'll love it. And PSE, basically, you're never going to have a problem with. Like this year, I've done no limbs. I've sold about 1,000 PSEs this year. No limbs. You're just not going to have any problems with the PSE. So, fully recommend it. PSE Premonition, check it out. And thank you.